I watched her fidget with her wine glass and knew she was about to tell me something that would change everything. "I need to be honest with you about something," she said, her voice barely steady. I nodded, my heart already bracing for impact. "I have 2 kids, a boy and a girl, 5 and 7. The restaurant noise faded. I sat there, looking at this beautiful woman across from me, and realized I had a choice to make, right then, right there, and I had no idea what the right answer was. "My name is Ryan. I'm 29. I work in digital marketing, live alone in a decent apartment, and before that night, my life was uncomplicated. I dated casually, I focused on my career, I had freedom." Her name was Sophie, 28. Dark hair, green eyes, a smile that made me forget my own name when I first saw her profile. We'd matched on an app 2 weeks earlier. Our messages were easy, funny, real. When she suggested meeting for dinner, I said yes without hesitation. I'd been excited, nervous in that good way. I hadn't expected this. "I understand if you want to leave," she said, her eyes down, her fingers still wrapped around that wine glass like it was the only thing keeping her grounded. Most guys do. I should have felt panic. I should have made an excuse and walked away. But instead, I felt something else. Curiosity. "Tell me about them," I said. She looked up, surprised. "What?" "Your kids. Tell me about them." Her expression shifted. Relief, maybe, or disbelief. You're not leaving?" "Not yet," I said, honestly, "but I want to know who they are." She took a breath, and for the first time that night, she really smiled. "Oliver is 5. He's obsessed with dinosaurs. He knows more about velociraptors than any adult I've ever met. He's shy around new people, but once he trusts you, he doesn't stop talking." She paused. "And Emma is 7. She's fierce. She wants to be a veterinarian. She's protective of her brother. She's protective of me." "And their dad?" Her smile faded. "He left when I was pregnant with Oliver. He said he wasn't ready to be a father to 1 kid, let alone 2. I haven't heard from him in 4 years." "I'm sorry." "Don't be. We're better off." She met my eyes. "But that's my reality. I am a package deal, and I don't do casual. I can't. I have 2 small humans depending on me. So if this isn't something you can handle, I'd rather know now." I sat back in my chair, processing. This was a first date. We'd barely ordered appetizers, and she was asking me to consider a future with 2 kids who weren't mine. It should have been overwhelming. It was overwhelming. "I don't know," I said, honestly. "I've never dated someone with kids before." "I know. I don't know if I'm ready for that kind of responsibility." "I know. But I don't want to walk away without at least trying to find out." She stared at me, something vulnerable and hopeful in her eyes. "Really? Really?" We finished dinner. We talked about other things, work, hobbies, embarrassing childhood stories, normal first date stuff. But underneath it all, there was this weight, this awareness that this wasn't just about us. When I walked her to her car, she turned to me and said, "Thank you for not running." "The night's not over yet," I joked. She laughed. "Fair enough." "Can I see you again?" I asked. "You sure?" "No, but I want to try." She kissed me on the cheek, got in her car, and drove away. And I stood in that parking lot wondering what the hell I'd just agreed to. Over the next 3 weeks, we texted every day, long conversations that stretched late into the night. She told me about her job as a nurse, her schedule, the chaos of balancing everything. I told her about my life, which suddenly felt simple and small in comparison. "When do I get to meet them?" I asked one night. There was a long pause before she replied. "Are you sure you're ready for that?" "Probably not," But I want to. It's a big step, Ryan. I know. Another pause. Okay, this Saturday. But just for an hour. Nothing intense. I don't want to confuse them if this doesn't work out. That's fair. Saturday came faster than I expected. I showed up at her apartment with a box of donuts and a knot in my stomach. When she opened the door, 2 small faces peeked out from behind her legs. "This is Ryan," she said gently. "He's my friend." Oliver stared at me with wide, cautious eyes. Emma crossed her arms and tilted her head, already assessing me. "Hi," I said, suddenly aware of how tall I was, how much space I took up. "I brought donuts." Emma's eyes lit up. "What kind?" "Chocolate, glazed, and those ones with sprinkles." "Can we have them, Mom?" Oliver asked, his voice barely a whisper. "After lunch," Sophie said, smiling. We spent the next hour in their small living room. Oliver showed me his dinosaur collection, explaining in intense detail the difference between a T-Rex and an Allosaurus. Emma asked me 100 questions: where I worked, if I had siblings, what my favorite animal was, if I liked their mom. That last one caught me off guard. "Yeah," I said carefully, "I do." "Why?" "Emma," Sophie warned. "It's okay." I looked at Emma seriously. "Because she's kind and funny, and she cares about people." Emma considered this. Then she said, "She cries sometimes at night." "Emma," Sophie's voice was sharp. But Emma kept going. "She thinks we don't know, but we do." The room went silent. Sophie's face had gone red. Oliver looked down at his dinosaur, and I sat there, my chest tight, realizing just how much this woman carried. "I'm sorry you heard that, sweetheart," Sophie said softly to Emma. "But I'm okay, I promise." She didn't look convinced. Later, when the kids were distracted with their donuts, Sophie walked me to the door. "I'm sorry about that," she said, her voice strained. "She worried about you." "I know," she wrapped her arms around herself. "They've been through a lot. They don't trust easily." "Neither do you." She looked at me, surprised. "No, I don't." "That's okay. I'm not going anywhere." But even as I said that, I wondered if it was true. Over the next few months, I saw Sophie and the kids once or twice a week. We went to parks, museums, the zoo. I learned that Oliver hated loud noises, and Emma was terrified of dogs. I learned that Sophie barely slept, that she worked overnight shifts and survived on coffee and sheer willpower. I started to care about them, all of them. But I also started to feel the weight of it. My friends noticed the change. When I skipped guys' nights to help Sophie with bedtime routines, when I turned down weekend trips because Emma had a school play, they asked questions. "You're really serious about this?" my best friend Jake asked over beers. "I think so." "Ryan, she has kids. That's not something you just try out." "I know." "Do you? Because this isn't like dating someone with a crazy ex or a demanding job. This is her whole life. If you're in, you're in. And if you're not, you need to walk away before those kids get attached." His words hit harder than I wanted to admit. "I care about her. I know you do. But is caring enough?" I didn't have an answer. That night, I lay in bed and thought about my life before Sophie. The freedom, the simplicity, the lack of responsibility. I missed it, and that terrified me. Because I also thought about Sophie's laugh, Oliver's excited dinosaur facts, Emma's fierce protectiveness. I thought about the way Sophie looked at me sometimes, like she couldn't believe I was still there, like she was waiting for me to disappear. I was falling in love with her, but was love enough? The breaking point came on a Tuesday night. Sophie called me, her voice shaking. "Can you come over? I need help." I didn't ask questions, I just drove. When I got there, Oliver was crying in his room, and Emma was sitting on the couch, her face pale. "What happened?" Oliver had a nightmare about his dad. He asked why his dad doesn't love him. Her voice cracked. I didn't know what to say.
I went into Oliver's room. He was curled up in bed, his dinosaur stuffed animal clutched to his chest. When he saw me, he buried his face in the pillow. "Hey, buddy," I said softly, sitting on the edge of his bed. "Rough night?" He nodded, but didn't look at me. "You want to talk about it?" "Why doesn't he want us?" Oliver's voice was so small, so broken. "I don't know, but it's not because of you. You're an amazing kid." "Then why?" "Some people aren't ready to be parents, and that's their loss, not yours." He looked at me then, tears streaming down his face. "Do you think he'll ever come back?" I wanted to lie, to say yes, to give him hope, but I couldn't. "I don't know," I said honestly, "but I do know this.